Hi, good evening, viewers. As you know, this is Pastor Viola here, and of course, this is my lovely daughter, Debbie, that we put on show tonight. We just want to talk about few questions this evening that we believe that it's an issue bringing up children in this part of the world, and as African parents, and also our children responding based on their environment, even to us. And so this evening we're just going to share, a few questions here and topic. It may not be necessarily personal to us, but also in the generalized world, things that are happening in homes and with parents, especially from Africa. So there we go. Um, this is Debbie. You want to say hello to the audience?
Hello.
And this evening, one of my first topic, we won't take too much of your time. One of my questions to Debbie here is asking her, why do children like going out late? Or why does youth like going out, late? One of the things that I found out recently is a lot of children, especially our youths, they want to when it's daylight, they don't go out, which we're not saying to them don't go out. But I found out that when it's late and it's evening, that is when they want to go out. And if somebody, for example, is leaving the house at 7 o'clock, what time of the night are they going to come back? I know for us growing up, we do not believe in a child, adolescent, I don't care how old you are, as long as you're living under our roof, under your parents' roof, you are supposed to, keep to the rules. Like, don't come back late. Don't come back home late at any point in time. So, really, we find out that a lot of children would go out and they will come back late. And by the time you come back late, I believe evil happens at night. So I don't want my children staying out late at night. So regardless of their age, I don't care, because I don't do the same. If your parents don't come back home late at night, I don't see why any child should be coming back home at night. So, over to you, Debbie. Do you want to respond to that?
I think a lot of the time, like, everybody's busy during the day. Like, you go to school, you do things, like you're working. So by the time you get home, it's like already the evening time. So maybe 5, 6, 7. You take a few minutes to yourself, maybe an hour to yourself, and then that's kind of when everybody's free. It may not necessarily be that, oh, we want to go out at night, we don't want to go out during the day, but it may just work out that that's just the time that everybody is free. So it just makes sense. Okay, that's the spare time we have. Like, oh, I'm not going to be done with my schoolwork till 7. I'm not going to be done work till 7 or 8. So, and that's the few spare times that we have. So we'll use it, and then we get together. And so it may not necessarily be like, oh, we just want to be out when it's dark. It's just sometimes that's the most convenient time.
So my question is, are you in school 7 days a week? Don't you have some spare days? And so couldn't you use those spare days, for going out and hanging out with your friends? Don't use those spare days? Do you work 7 days a week? Do you read 7 days a week? Do you go to school 7 days a week? And that's my, humble question here.
Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Like, you're trying to plan with two people's schedule. It's not just my schedule. It's not just the next person's schedule. It's two people's. So maybe the day I'm free, that person isn't free. So the time we're both free may now be, okay, one evening, and it's 7 p.m. that we're both free. Okay, that's the time that's going to work. People, not just school. We're not just going to school. Some people are working and going to school. We have other things, other commitments too. So sometimes you're working with two people's schedules. So sometimes the best time is when it's later. And just because I think personally that if you know where I am, you know who I'm with, you know where we're going, what we're doing, then it shouldn't necessarily be a problem. Like, because it's parents just have the mentality that, oh, if you're out late, that you're doing something bad. You may not necessarily be doing something bad. It's just you know where I am, you know who I'm with, so then it shouldn't really be a problem.
So there you go, viewers. You're hearing from a youth here that is she's claiming that, I believe she's speaking on behalf of the youth out there, telling their parents that, because they're out late doesn't mean that they are doing something bad. My assumption usually is like, oh, when you're out late, you're going to parties, you're clubbing, you're doing something that is not comfortable. So what do you have to say to that?
I can go out to my friend's house and we can be watching a movie or something. Like, I don't have to be at a party to be out late at night. Like, sometimes we have family friends over, and the family friends will be over here till late. You guys are just talking, you're just enjoying each other's company. Like, that's the same thing with going out with friends. Like, we may not even be out, we may be at the other friend's house or something. We're just enjoying company, maybe watching a movie, maybe eating, whatever. Like, we don't have to be going to a party or to be going to a club just because we're out till 11 o'clock.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm hoping that you youths out there will keep it down by coming home early, because we African parents don't like our children, especially when they're staying under our roof, coming home late. You know what? When you are living by yourself, I won't come and check you out. I don't know what is going on with you. But when you're under our roof, you need to keep to the rules. Don't stay out late. It's very important that we keep those morals, Anyway, and why is it that a lot of youths are not being honest, or they don't tell their parents the real truth about themselves, and they give they're not being transparent, with their parents? Why is that? Despite the fact that a lot of parents even try to reach out, to youths these days, you let them know that you're very open, you want to have a reasonable conversation with them, you want to have a mature conversation, but you still find out that a lot of youths are not being open, they're not honest, they do things behind their parents and they lie. Why is that?
If we go back to like the topic we were talking about previous, like what the question we were just talking about, even in that situation there, it's like, so even just now I explained to you like my rationale, my reasoning behind it, and you still said, okay, well, while you're in my house, you're gonna do this and you're gonna do that, and so I came to you with my case, and sometimes parents don't necessarily understand where we're coming from. So I came to you with my case, and that was your response. And so even though you listened to my case, you still were like, no, this is how I want it. So if a child already knows that what they're bringing to you is gonna get shut down, next thing to do, I'm not necessarily saying I'll do this, but the next thing to do is, okay, if you're not gonna let me do it, and I know you're not gonna let me do it, I'll just do it anyways and not tell you I'm gonna do it. So that's another thing too. So it can be just, some people don't think their parents might understand, or some people don't think that their parents might agree or whatnot. So then you're just going to do what you want to do then at that point, because even if I ask you, you're going to say no, or even if I tell you beforehand, you're not going to get it. So I might as well just do what I want to do.
Have you ever thought, why do you think your parents are being protective? Why do you think your parents are shouting out loud, don't do this, don't do that? Why do you think they are doing that?
Well, I understand that, okay, yeah, you guys are trying to protect us and everything, but same way with you growing up. I'm sure there were many things your parents told you, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that, but there's some things that you still did, and there's some things that you had to experience for yourself. Even though your parents said, don't do this, don't do that, it wasn't until you experienced it for yourself that you understood, oh, okay, this is why I shouldn't have done this, or this is why I shouldn't have done that. So some things I feel like you're gonna have to experience it on your own. No matter how much you tell me, don't do this, don't do that, there's some things that, okay, until I do it myself, I'm not gonna understand it. It's like when a young child, you tell a child, oh, don't put their hand on the stove, don't put their hand on the stove, and they're innocent, they don't really know, but one day maybe they don't listen to you, they put their hand on the stove, then they realize, okay, they burn themselves, they get hurt, then they realize, okay, oh, this is why my mom said I shouldn't put my hand on the stove. And obviously I'm not saying there's some big things that you don't want to make some big mistakes as well, okay, there's some big things, but at the same time, there's some little things that you should allow us to learn on our own as well, because I think if you learn some things on your own too, it sticks more and better than, oh, don't do this just because I said don't do it. So I'm just not doing it because my mom said I shouldn't do it, but I don't really understand why I'm not doing it or why I shouldn't do it.
You know what? You just read my mind. I was just going to say something about if you well said. You said something that if my parents had told me not to do X, Y, Z in the past, you were sure that I probably have done it. Very correct, very true, because we need to be honest with our children, you know. But one thing you also said that fascinated, you know, my thought is that you said something about a child going to touch the hot oven. So as a parent, you don't want your children or your child to go through what you have gone through. I don't know if that makes sense to you. Someday maybe you will be in my position. As I'm speaking to you, maybe you also exhibit some character that is not right or some behavior that is not right. And then in future, would you want your child to experience the same? No, you wouldn't want your child to experience the same. You probably would try to protect your child so that they don't go through the difficulties or the problems that you went through or the challenges that you went through. And so that is the essence of a parent trying to protect you, because you know what? The path that you are walking through now, your parent has been through it. The road that you are going through, your parents have been through it. And so they know what is in that road. They know the distractions, they know the challenges that are in that road, and they don't want you to encounter same problem or same issues that they've encountered in the past. And that is why parents are being protective. I know you are on the defensive side of things, but we are on the protective because we don't want anything to happen to you. And regardless of what age you are, a child will always be a child in the hands of their parents.
Yeah, I understand and I agree. Like, of course, like, you don't want us to go through exactly what you went through as well. But at the same time, like, a parent can only do so much. You can only say so much. You can only tell your child not to do this thing however many times. Like, and at one point, I'm sure the parent will get frustrated. You keep telling your child, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. The parent's going to get frustrated as well. So you can only do so much as a parent on your side as well. So sometimes you just you're going to have to put your hands up, and you let the child do. At that point, you let the child go their way. They want to find their own path, you let them find their own path. You've done your job already as a parent in telling us, don't do this and don't do that, or do this and do that. So once you've done that, then you leave the rest to God, leave the rest to us. You leave us in God's hands at that point.
And, you know, you just mentioned God, and that is very important. A lot of children comes from a Christian home, and you find out that once they're out of the door, the Christianity just disappears or flies. Or what happens in that sense, you know? Like, what is going on? Was it like you never had an encounter before, or you were just pretending all along? What happened?
I think at that crucial age,
just want to explore.
No, not necessarily explore it, but that's a crucial age as a person. Like, in your teens, your young adults, it's a crucial age for you to grow and for you to find yourself. So I think sometimes people face identity crises. Like, they're moving away from your family. You're going away from what you knew. Like, you're used to, okay, every Sunday I wake up, I do this. Every Monday I do this. Like, you have a routine already, you're used to it. But now you're going out into the world, like, you're on your own. Like, you're discovering new things, you're learning new things, and you need to find your footing, right? Because you're no longer the child who's under your parents' house. You're now becoming your own person. And in becoming your own person, sometimes you're going to face obstacles where you're not going to know who you are. Maybe you're going to go through some things where you're just like, oh, like, you're going to doubt some things about yourself. You're not going to realize some things about, you're still getting to know yourself. You're building your character. You're building yourself. And sometimes challenges will come, trials will come. And sometimes, yes, that does include some people falling back away from God. And that may not necessarily mean that they didn't have a strong foundation, because some of these people could be even people that grew up in the church. It could be pastors' kids. They could be anyone, right? But sometimes it's just like, sometimes those are the things that bring people closer to God at the end of the day even. But at the end of the day, like, it's just where we're growing and we're learning things. So sometimes, yes, it happens, but I don't think it's very, very frequent, but sometimes it does happen.
Well, thank you very much, Debbie, for your time. We hope to see you again on this show, and we hope that you parents out there, that you will work with these children on this delicate journey, and trusting God that He will give them wisdom and knowledge, and they will not depart, from the presence of God. And so I hope all the youths out there too, you've picked one or two things to learn. Our intention is not evil. Our intention as a parent is not bad. We are just being protective. We want you to come out with flying colors. We don't want you to be distracted in your journey, because these days there is a lot of distraction. We just want you to be in the center of God's will and God's purpose, and so you will not derail even from the paths of righteousness. And that is why we've brought this broadcast to you this evening, and I hope you enjoyed even the short time that was spent with you. You take care, and God bless you. See you again.